एक घंटा रास्ता बना Good morning, class. I hope you're all able to hear me. Good morning, class. I hope you're all able to hear me. Right, I can see my video on. So, on that note, let me begin. Welcome everybody. I think you are all aware that we have been conducting these current affairs classes. So, the last 2 days, I had I conducted the November current affairs session. So, on that note, let me begin the session today. Today is the third of the four-part series. So, after today, one more class will remain on the November current affairs. So let me take this on for now. Right. So you've all gone through the first two sessions. Let me just continue with this. Right. Welcome everybody to Unacademy's YouTube page. We are India's largest online learning platform, and this is the name of our channel. I'm actually streaming live on two channels right now. One is Crack Management Exams, the other is CAT for MBA, as you are aware. So both these channels are on right now. So this is our channel. We are of course here to help you guys with all the MBA examinations. You can see this is a very big channel. We already have a lot of subscribers and hopefully many more in the coming days. This is a brief profile of myself. My name is Aritro Dasgupta. I'm also going to give you today information on a couple of new batches which are being floated. One of them started yesterday itself. Couple of them it's just 3 days old, so you can actually go for them. This is myself, Aritro Dasgupta, and I've been with Unacademy for about 6 months now. I'm an MBA from the Indian Institute of Forest Management in Bhopal with specialization in the area of conservation and livelihood. I've had over a decade's work experience in the areas of teaching, training, strategy consulting, executive recruitment, and in content writing. Most of my experience has been in India, but I've also had a stint in the Middle East and been published in North America. The last 5.5 years, almost 6 years, I've been connected with the coaching industry, and during this period, rank holders to several top examinations nationally recognized like CAT, CLAT, DUJAT, etc. They have been my students. Right, what all you will receive as part of the platform. First of all, there are daily live classes. As you can see here, we have this channel. इसको आप click करेंगे तो आपको सारे पुराने videos भी मिल जाएंगे. So let me just show you some of the videos which are here. There are live tests and quizzes, of course. So once you're on board, you obviously can go through several tests and quizzes, जिसका आपको detailed analysis भी मिलेगा. There's a detailed course structure as well, which is framed by the head office, and we individual educators add further value to it. And finally, there is also unlimited access to the classes. Okay, so on that note, let me continue. This is a list of some of our key educators. You may take a look at their names, also the number of followers they have, the watch minutes they possess, also the kind of experience they have. This will give you a very good idea on the intellectual capital available at Unacademy. This is some more trainers. We also wanted to show you how you receive notifications for the different classes. So this is how you actually get receive these notifications. Meanwhile, you also receive notifications for batches. So there are different ways to do that. One of them, of course, is through as I said, you can have a full length batch which covers the entire syllabus, as you can see on top. So obviously number of educators are involved. The other is when there is a single trainer who looks in to the content, as you can see at the bottom of the page. So in fact, I had also started a similar batch some time back. So guys, you can take a look. These are some of the videos which have been recorded in the last couple of days. So definitely, guys, do go ahead with these sessions. ये सारा आप देख सकते हैं. Right, so I had also floated a batch in October. Right, there's a schedule that works very well for you. So even if you've missed a live class, you may always see the recordings later on. That is something which will be really good. There is also no language barrier because we are present in 16 different languages, and of course, you may learn anytime, anywhere. That is how things are. You may interact with the educator anytime you want to get your doubts cleared. तो मैं आपको दिखा दूँ राइट हैंड साइड में there's a live chat window. तो यहाँ पे आप लोग please feel free to connect and I will be very happy to answer there. I can see somebody has joined this session. Welcome, whoever that is. Do write in if there are any doubts, any queries. तो right hand side में आपका live chat window है. Do connect on that. I will also be asking you guys questions from there. And of course, do attend my sessions on unacademy.com. My next session is on Saturday. So वहाँ पे live polling system बहुत ही suitable है. There are also live tests and quizzes, which I told you in the sense that उसके बाद आपको पूरा रिपोर्ट एंड एनालिसिस मिलेगा वेयर यू स्टैंड वर्सेस द रेस्ट ऑफ द कंपटीशन क्वेश्चन वाइज टॉपिक वाइज analysis. And at the end of every class you can actually receive detailed PDFs and learning material. I've already taken a couple of classes on November current affairs, and as many of you who've been with me since beginning might remember that from January onwards I have been conducting a lot of classes. So all of that is included in this. Right. Good morning, Adarsh. Great to have you here. Do let me know in case there are any questions which come up. Adarsh, how was your CAT exam? Do let me know. उससे better पता चलेगा. Anyway, let's move ahead further. तो इस क्लास के बाद आप डिटेल PDF डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं. Okay, I was telling you about some of the new batches which have been floated very recently by Unacademy. तो वो मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ, बट उसके पहले मैं ये भी बताना चाहूँगा that whichever batch you join, please make sure that you are using the code AD09, which is my code. So कोई भी batch हो, you can always go for this one. AD09, which is my code. So कोई भी batch हो, you can always go for this one. Right. So this is the first batch. This started just a couple of days back, and in this way, you can actually be part of this thing. That will be an interesting solution. So this started a couple of days back. Just don't worry that बहुत सारा time चला गया है. Because just 3 days, so just started. You can join this. It's for CAT 2021. All those who are looking at next year's CAT. So these are some of the trainers there: Shabana, Bharat, and Ravi, who are all among the top trainers with us. Ravi, you can see his profile. मैंने नीचे कोड डाल रखा है AD09. आपको 10% छूट मिलेगा once you apply this. So he's a regular 99 percentiler in CAT. You also have Bharat, who is um, an engineer by degree, and he has over 2 decades of work experience. And Shabana's been also teaching for more than a decade. She's a verbal specialist with regularly cracks 99 percentile in CAT. This is for CMAT. The previous one for CAT, this is for CMAT. CMAT, has GK, and that is why my friend Rushikesh, who's a GK trainer like myself, he is also part of this batch. There's also Gurpreet and Shankar, and of course there's Abhishek, whom I have known for a really long time. So Rishikesh, of course, is there for your GK. Gurpreet, he's regularly cleared a lot of exams. He's for LRDI. Shankar, he will be is again somebody with almost a decades of work experience, a regular 99 percentiler. He will be helping you with quants, and Abhishek will help you with verbal ability. He is of course an alumnus from IIM Bangalore and from SRCC. So that is a lot of quality in his teaching. Please go ahead. This one started only yesterday, so anybody who's even remotely concerned कि आपका time बहुत 3 दिन late हो गया, this one वो प्रॉब्लम भी नहीं है. कल ही स्टार्ट हुआ है, ये वीकडे बैच है, तो आप लोग ऑफिस के बाद आराम से इसको अवेल कर सकते हैं. सो एंड दिस बैच आल्सो हैज अरुण सर who's considered one of the legends in our field. There's also Abhilasha, there's Aparna, and there's Rahul. I was telling you about Arun sir, who's considered one of the legends. So he's a best-selling writer who has trained several people in the past. Now, there's Abhilasha, who's a writer, a columnist. She's a poetess with over 2 decades of work experience. There's Aparna, who's from the MDI in Gurugram, very famous institution, and with a 99 percentiler as well, she is. And finally, there's Rahul, who's also regularly cracks these top examinations. So he will be helping you with quants. Right? Aparna will do LRDI, while Abhilasha will do verbal. Okay, so this is the last slide in the intro and probably the most important one. After this, I will begin with the class proper. So let me just tell you that ओके, पहले आप ये पढ़ लीजिए, मेरा कोड नीचे दिया हुआ है. सो यू कैन सी द कॉस्ट बिफोर द कोड एंड आफ्टर द कोड. सो देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट decrease. And of course, if you go for the long term courses, the price, the value for month per month is much better. So I would always recommend you go for minimum 12 months or even 24 months, because the value for money is much better. Today I'm actually doing two channels together, which is why I'm having to manage several of these, chats simultaneously. That is a good challenge that I'm facing today, and I'm actually enjoying this pretty much. Telling about Arun sir, who's considered one of the legends. So he's a best-selling writer who. Right. I hope you guys have all seen this. And on that note, I will begin straight away with the class. Right. Okay. So let's begin with the November current affairs. Today is the third class of this series. So let's start. Right. So the format is such that whenever there is miscellaneous content, मैं headline दूंगा November current affairs. Whenever there's a standalone topic, फिर वो standalone topic ऊपर आएगा. So the first topic concerns our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. He has attended recently the 12th BRICS summit, which was hosted by Russia. Since it's a new channel, I might just have to introduce a lot of topics for the first time. So, guys, Adarsh, since you're there, would you? I see somebody else has also joined the session. So, welcome whoever that is. Both the students who have joined in. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what is BRICS? Can you tell me the full form of BRICS? I'm awaiting your answers. Full form of BRICS. So, this year saw the 12th summit. This organization was actually founded in 2009 under a slightly different name. Initially it was BRIC, and then in 2010 it became BRICS. So what is it about this organization? I'll also share with you guys the theme for this year. A lot of these major events, the theme is also important. For example, this year's theme is global stability, shared security, and innovative growth. Um, BRICS full form. I'm still awaiting your answer. Have to constantly switch between the screen and mobile phone. So hope you don't mind if I look down sometimes. Very good, excellent, Adarsh, excellent. Really happy to see that. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now my questioning does not end. I have another question. What is it that combines these five countries? Why are they together? I mean, my question is, SARC, South Asian Association. So it's about a geography. SARC comprises of countries which are in South Asia. ASEAN comprises countries which are in Southeast. European Union is those in Europe. ठीक है? Many of them in Europe. OPEC is about oil producing countries, right? What is it that sort of is common between these five countries? चाइना इधर, इंडिया इधर, आपका रशिया उधर, साउथ अफ्रीका बिल्कुल ही अलग जगह है, ब्राजील बिल्कुल ही दूसरे कोने में पृथ्वी के. तो इन पांचों को क्या चीज कंबाइन करता है? वुड यू लाइक टू टेल मी? Together. I mean, my question is. Yeah, I can see another person has joined in. Do say something. Will be great to connect. I'll just connect the charger on my laptop. तब तक आप लिखिए. Right. Let me see if I have received an answer. Can you tell me what is it that is common to these five countries? They're far away from each other. Um, नहीं अभी तक आंसर आया नहीं. Anyway, till then, let me continue. So he's one of the great actors in Indian cinema. He's from Bengal. Mr. Shomitra Chatterjee, he passed away. That was a tragic news from the month of November. Now, Shomitra Chatterjee, guys, please go through his filmography. He, among the many roles he took up, he's especially well known for the Oppu trilogy. In fact, he was the leading star in several Satyajit Ray movies. Satyajit Ray and Soumitra Chatterjee, they were sort of always connected because he was his um, you know his main actor. Satyajit Ray also did movies with other leading stars such as Uttam Kumar, but Soumitra was almost ever present in almost every movie, and of course won several awards nationally as well as internationally. Never ventured into Hindi cinema, though there was a lot of demand by his fans both in Bengal as well as outside, people who had seen his remarkable acting talents, but of course never really happened. So he became the first Bengali to be conferred the prestigious Legion of Honor, which is the highest civilian award in France. One of the first few Indians, but also the first from West Bengal. He's the winner of multiple prestigious awards domestically as well in India. Let me see if you have answered. Okay, Adarsh, good to see your answer. If you're not aware, no problem. I am here to help you on that this regard. Uh, so, what is common between these five countries is the fact that they are all developing countries. Developing तो और भी बहुत सारे countries है, but these are among the five fastest developing countries in the world. They are among the five, shall we say, regional powers. So, for example, India is you know we are a fast emerging country among the fastest growing ones, and we are the regional influencers for the South Asia region. China for East Asia, although China would like to be considered a global giant right now, but when it was created it was a regional power. Russia is for Eastern Europe, South Africa for the whole continent of Africa, Brazil is for the entire Latin American region. In fact, let me give you an example from something which is outside the usual political stuff, but Anybody of you who watches football might be aware that in 2010, can you tell me where was the 2010 Football World Cup held in? There's a reason I'm talking about the 2010 World Cup. So 2010 World Cup was held in South Africa. Not because South Africa has a great football team. In fact, there are many countries. 2010 World Cup was held in South. There are many countries with a better football team than South Africa, but the reason it was held in this country was because Mm, because FIFA, which is the governing body for football in the world, they wanted the tournament to be organized in once in Africa. It had never been held in Africa. तो अफ्रीका में जब इन्होंने डिसाइड किया, the only option was South Africa. Why? Because they have the better infrastructure than anybody else. They have the stadiums. They can also use a legacy because South Africa is also a lot into rugby. So even after the tournament is over, the stadiums can be used. They will not be, sort of a white elephant like we see in many cases. Also, South Africa has better public infrastructure, roads, trains, and international airports. So that is the reason. So while South Africa may not have a great football team, but they're representative of Africa. So once when the World Cup had to be hosted, so it was hosted by South Africa. So that's an example of how these countries, they are the regional powers. Right, Sudhir? No, sorry, Adarsh, right? That's your first name. Right. Okay. Continuing with a bit more of the miscellaneous content for this month. Sticking with our Prime Minister, he unveiled a statue called the Statue of Peace. This is not the Statue of Unity. Please do not be confused. Statue of Unity is about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, one of the great freedom fighters from this country. The man who has been credited with uniting all of modern day India, but statue of peace is for a monk. So this was inaugurated in Rajasthan. This is in the Ajmer district. आप चाहो तो लिख लेना. So others, please keep jotting down the important points. So this is to mark the 151st birth anniversary celebrations of Sri Vijay Vallabh Sureshwar Ji Maharaj. He is one of the great monks of the Jainism religion. You're probably aware of Jainism, and Jainism is there are lots of Jains in Rajasthan, Gujarat, UP, Haryana, MP to an extent, a bit less in MP, but these are the states with significant population of adherence towards Jainism. Right, so this was started here. Okay, in one of my earlier classes, I have also taken up October current affairs. So please go through my October sessions. So one of the topics I did there was the Nobel Prizes. Nobel Prizes, I'm sure you are aware of, one of the most famous, shall we say, probably the most famous award worldwide. And this year it was obviously given to all the six categories, different people. So one of the winners in the physics category is this woman. Her name is Andrea Ghez. So she actually worked closely with Indian astronomers on the design of a new set of instruments for what is called the 30-meter telescope. This is going to be a game-changing event because the kind of projections you'll be able to see in space will now be significantly higher. ठीक है, Adarsh, do let me know if any of these questions are confusing. So this is being done in Mauna Kea, which is in Hawaii. Do you know where is Hawaii? I will occasionally keep checking my phones for the other channels as well. Okay, so Hawaii is obviously a state of the USA. It's located somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. It's almost halfway between mainland USA and Japan. So Hawaii is actually very much one of the most important places on the planet for space viewership. Why? Because of a number of reasons. One, the height is more. Mauna Kea, and in fact, there are a couple of mountain ranges in Hawaii which are among the tallest in the world. In fact, the world's highest mountain is actually in Hawaii. It's not Mount Everest. Now, Mount Everest is the highest if you measure from the sea level. So technically it is Mount Everest. But अगर आपसे, this is an important GK question, अगर आपसे कोई पूछे कि which is the highest mountain range on earth, which is क्या कहते हैं, not measuring from sea level, then it is actually in Hawaii. So one, you get the advantage of height. So काफी आपको height का advantage मिलता है. Secondly, because as I said, it's in the middle of nowhere. There aren't many countries nearby that. Not much of population, and thus not much of pollution. The views are really clear. So Hawaii is one of the most important place for astronomers, and that is why this has been set up in this particular place. Right, so on that note I will continue. So this is the format I was alluding to. Whenever it's miscellaneous content, I start with November current affairs, and whenever there is mm, mm, something specific, then I start with that particular thing. Okay, so it is International Children's Peace Prize, which वी आर डूइंग. तो ये क्या चीज़ है, मैं आपको थोड़ा सा समझाता हूँ. ये एक प्राइज है जो हर साल दिया जाता है. सो दिस ईयर देयर इज अ टीनेजर फ्रॉम बांग्लादेश हु हैज बीन अवॉर्डेड दिस थिंग. हिज नेम इज सादत रहमान. There is often this policy of not revealing names when somebody is a minor, but in this case he has consented, which is why we are using the name. So yes, Sadat Rahman, he's a Bangladeshi teen. He won the International Children's Peace Prize 2020 for his fight against cyber bullying. ठीक है. You know what is cyberbullying, right? There are nowadays it's very common because of the presence of trolls. You might be aware who are the trolls. Trolls are people who they कैसे बताऊं मैं. ट्रोल्स आर द पीपल हु आर अननोन. जो भी नाम हुए आप जानते भी नहीं. लॉट्स ऑफ पीपल इन देयर रियल लाइव्स might be very different, but on online they might start fighting, they might be abusing, and this is something that can affect anybody, but it can especially affect children. So that is why this is something which has come up. In fact, all these months of the various lockdowns in the last 10 months that we've had, cases of cyberbullying have actually increased worldwide. And no wonder in this COVID affected year, there's something against cyberbullying which has been awarded here. So he's actually developed an app called Cyber Teens. Guys, just to remind you, today in the evening at around 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, I have another session. So as usual, this was my regular session on the previous channel, which is Let's Crack Management Exams. But I'm also doing that session here on CAT4MBA today at 2:30 p.m. Both the channels are live, just like right now I'm live simultaneously on both channels. So 2:30 p.m. I will be analyzing today's newspaper. So this is something I do almost every day. I'm going to do tomorrow as well, and then also on Saturday, because Saturday I'll do on on unacademy.com. So these newspaper sessions I don't repeat on two platforms, but you can go through it on Saturday on unacademy.com. तो इससे आप वहाँ पे भी आएंगे. Sunday onwards I'll be on holiday. It's New Year's holiday, so I'll be traveling. So anyway, so this person has developed an app called Cyber Teens. Really brilliant youngsters these days. This award was started. Now this is very important, guys. कभी भी कोई जीके का क्वेश्चन है, उसको आधा अधूरा मत छोड़ दीजिए, उसके तह तक जाइए. अगर आपको कोई पॉइंट मिले कि इस बार ये अवार्ड किसे मिला. हम नोबेल प्राइज की बात कर रहे थे. नोबेल प्राइज जब मैंने अक्टूबर में करवाया था ओरिजिनल चैनल में, मैंने बताया था उसकी हिस्ट्री क्या है, कब स्टार्ट हुआ, इकोनॉमिक्स बाद में ऐड हुआ तो कब ऐड हुआ, कौन सा कंट्री देता है, पीस प्राइज एक दूसरा कंट्री देता है तो उसके बारे में बताया. ऑल्सो हाउ मेनी इंडियंस हैव वॉन इट इन द पास्ट. सो गाइज, इसको थोड़ा तह तक जाना पड़ेगा आपको. सो पीपल ऑफन आस्क मी दैट इन दीज एग्जामिनेशंस इज ओनली करंट अफेयर्स इंपॉर्टेंट, शुड वी ऑल्सो डू स्टैटिक जीके. So my answer is you can't actually isolate the two. Yes, some aspects of static might be completely static, but there are many topics of current affairs. So you often get questions which are technically static, but they have a relation with something that happened right now. So for example, this year, since we are talking of COVID-19 crisis, many of you have come to know about the Spanish flu, more than 100 years back. So Spanish flu के बारे में थोड़ा पढ़िए. It is static GK, but it's relevant to the present times, right? So this award started in 2005 by an NGO called the Kids Rights Foundation. It's based in Amsterdam, which is in the Netherlands. ठीक है, एंड उन्होंने ही ये प्राइज दिया है. ठीक है, आई होप यू नो वेयर इज एम्स्टरडेम, वेयर इज द नेदरलैंड्स. आई जस्ट शो इट यू ऑन द मैप. थोड़ा सा आपको फायदा हो जाएगा. आई एम श्योर यू मेनी ऑफ यू आर अवेयर बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी फेमस कंट्री. बट मैं क्विकली आपको, देयर इज अनदर रीजन व्हाई आई वांट टू शो यू. एक्चुअली देयर आर थ्री कंट्रीज व्हिच आर टुगेदर नोन एज द लो कंट्रीज. तो मैं आपको वो पॉइंट भी एक बार दिखा देता हूँ. दैट विल बी इजियर फॉर यू गाइज. ठीक है, I'll come to that. Meanwhile, let me go to the next topic now. I want to talk to you guys about something called blue energy. What exactly is blue energy? Let us understand. It's actually a method where electrochemistry is used, and this results in the combination of salt water and fresh water. So it's not salt alag se, salt water and fresh water. They are used to power devices. ठीक है. सो कोई एक डिवाइस हुआ, उस पे यूजुअली क्या होता है, हम जब हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज करते हैं तब जो टरबाइन घूमता है वो बस नदियों में होता है, वाटरफॉल्स में, नदियों में, बिकॉज टरबाइन जो घूमता है वो समुंदर में नहीं होता, वो रिवर में होता है. रिवर यू नो इज फ्रेश वाटर. बट ये एक दूसरा मेथड है जहां पे फ्रेश वाटर एंड सॉल्ट वाटर दोनों का इस्तेमाल किया जा रहा है साइमल्टेनियसली. uh, and this gives you even greater results, and this is something which can be worked very well in areas which are next to the ocean. ठीक है, तो because obviously there's so much of salt water out there. कहावत है कि water water everywhere, not a drop to drink. But now many countries are making use of salt water. The United Arab Emirates is a very good example. That country is now, today, you may not believe what I'm going to say, that country has literally no water. ठीक है, it rains for 10 days in a year traditionally, and there are no rivers. So how do they get water for around 10 million people? It is mostly from the ocean, and they even export water now. That is how strong the country has become. So they take out water from the ocean, they convert, they desalinate that water, use it for fresh water. जो नमक अलग हो जाता है, a lot of that is obviously used for normal, like we use salt in food, but a lot of that salt they also use it for seeding clouds. So they use helicopters से वो नमक ऊपर ले जाते हैं, and they throw it in the sky in a certain way, जिससे जितनी भी water bearing clouds है जो otherwise थोड़ा आगे जाके समुंदर में drain हो जाते, they get collected, and just before they fall into the ocean they actually fall on United Arab Emirates. So that water too is then collected and used by people and by animals. That country has a large camel population. So that is one example in United Arab Emirates. Similarly, there's another country, Wales is not a country. Some of you who watch football or rugby might consider it a country because they have the separate national team. That's because the United Kingdom, or the English especially, invented a lot of the modern day sports, so they sort of had an advantage. They started playing international before the other countries did. So that is why England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, they all have their separate national teams, but they're not nations per se. Okay, so Wales is one of the states within the United Kingdom, one of the four. It also includes, as I said, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. So off the mainland of Wales, there is this island called the Bardsley Island, which is a remote island with hardly any population. So they'll become the first in the world to be powered entirely by blue energy, right? पूरा island blue energy से चलेगा अब से. Right, Adarsh, you've stopped speaking, and I've been saying this. There's a third person as well. Please feel free to connect. मुझे आपको एम्स्टरडेम का, नेदरलैंड्स का लोकेशन दिखाना था. There's a reason I'm showing you that thing. Yeah, so Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I'm going to show you the directions from a particular place. Directions from Brussels. ठीक है, Brussels is the capital of Belgium. By road दिखाता हूँ, that will be better. ठीक है, तो इसको मैं थोड़ा सा बड़ा कर रहा हूँ, जूम आउट कर रहा हूँ मैप को, So you can see this is mainland Europe, this is Great Britain, and these three countries. Can you see the three? Please tell me. Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. These three countries together, they are known as the Low Countries. These three, this, and this. In fact, मैं थोड़ा सा मैप को लग्जमबर्ग से दिखाता हूँ. That will give you the entire stretch of the low countries. So these three, which you can see on the map, Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg, they are the low countries. इनको low countries क्यों कहा जाता है? उसके पीछे भी एक कहानी है. That's because their average height is below sea level. So these people, they've survived hundreds of years, thousands of years by constructing dams and dikes which protect them from the water to come in. They've reclaimed a lot of land. Some of you might know this concept of high tide and low tide. So during high tide, the water comes in. During low tide, the water goes out. And that is when the water is out, these people have actually reclaimed that land. That land has been so यहाँ पे पानी है, पानी वापस चला गया. तो ये जो एरिया है, यहाँ पे इन्होंने दीवारें बना दिए हैं during the off season. So this they've been doing for hundreds of years to increase their territory. In fact, these countries are among the most densely populated in the world. Mm, ठीक है. So that's pretty much it. I'll also show you Wales since some of you are looking at it. मैं आपको डिस्टेंस दिखा देता हूँ लंदन से I'll show you Wales. वेल्स का जो कैपिटल है दैट इज कार्डिफ. Right, so you can see this is England, this is Manchester, Liverpool, London, this is Cardiff. So this state is called Wales. Most of this is England, and the north where you see Glasgow, this is Scotland. This island is called Ireland, jiska northern portion, which is about a fifth, six counties of Ulster. So this is Northern Ireland. This is part of United Kingdom politically. The rest of Ireland is an independent country, the Republic of Ireland, and that place is, of course, the shall we say, that has four states: Ulster, Munster, Leinster, and Connacht. Ulster County, so Munster, Leinster, and Connacht are completely in Republic. Six counties from Ulster, they are part of Northern Ireland. The rest is with Republic, right? Fair enough. Absolutely correct, Adarsh. Absolutely. They are in the top 20. They have some really top players like Gareth Bale and Ben Davies, Joe Rodon, this guy, Joe Allen, Daniel James, Wayne Hennessy. So they do have a lot of quality players right now. Chris Kunta. Yeah, I was a big fan of Gareth Bale. I do feel he has been terribly wasted all these years. A lot of his is his own fault as well. He just doesn't care now. He's earning so much money, but he scored a goal last night, Gareth Bale, for Spurs in the League Cup against Stoke City. Okay, the funding for the Blue Energy project comes from ERDF. The ERDF stands for European Regional Development Fund. Let me also quickly take a look at the other channel in case there are any questions or something which the students are asking. Mm, right. Okay. Now, this is a very important topic. If any of you watching this class from Jharkhand, this is actually a really important topic. This thing called the Sarna Code. तो Sarna Code क्या है? थोड़ा सा समझते हैं. तो Adarsh, are you aware of the census in India? Adarsh, do you know what is the census in India? I'll just take a very quick bio break. Just write down about the census in India. What do you know? Yeah, I'm back here. Yes, absolutely correct. Census gives the overall population of a particular country. That's perfectly correct. ठीक है तो लास्ट टाइम इंडिया का सेंसस हुआ था 2011 में, अगला सेंसस होगा 2021 में. नाउ टोटल जो पॉपुलेशन है, इसमें टोटल पॉपुलेशन इज वन पार्ट, बट वी आल्सो नीड टू नो द ब्रेकअप इन टर्म्स ऑफ रिलीजन, gender ratio, in terms of the average income, literacy rate, urban, rural, maybe maybe even caste, languages, what kind of languages you speak. So as I said, one of the questions asked is about religion. What religion do you practice? Now, as per the Indian census, there are broadly 6 religions where you can come up, you can register yourself: Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Sikhism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Apart from this, you have a category called others. So anybody who's not among these six are called others. And if I typically look at tribal people in India, Adivasis, most of them are adherents of either Hinduism or Buddhism or Christianity. One of these three, they typically tend to be. But many of the tribals, they also oppose to the fact that while some of them have converted to Christianity, some of them practice Hinduism, some of the remote corners they do practice Buddhism. There are many who do not practice any of these. They practice sort of a traditional, shall we say, nature worship. ठीक है. So they say that why should we register under any of these three religions, and why not under our traditional animistic religion? Animism is the worship of nature. So the state assembly in Jharkhand, you might be aware, Jharkhand is a state with a large tribal population. Around between one fourth to one third of the population in Jharkhand comprises of tribal people. In fact, the present chief minister is himself from a tribal community, and most of the chief minister, except one, have been from one of the tribal groups. So this assembly has passed the law for the Sarna Code. So tribal people can now identify with the Sarna as their religion instead of the usual options, which I have already mentioned to you. Most tribals, as I said, they identify themselves as either Hindu, Christian, or Buddhist. But from now on, they can also register themselves under the traditional nature worship. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. आई होप यू आर ऑल क्लियर इन चीजों पे, मैंने समझा दिया आपको. एज आई सेड, दिस इज बेस्ड ऑन द ट्रेडिशनल वर्शिप ऑफ नेचर एंड नेचुरल एलिमेंट्स, सो प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स, द सन, द मून, द रिवर्स, एटसेट्रा. Okay, now a little bit on the political situation in Jharkhand right now. As I said, the chief minister himself from a tribal community. It's Mr. Hemant Soren. His father Shibu Soren was considered the main, shall we say, campaigner for Jharkhand to become a separate state, which will have a large tribe to cater to the demand separately of the tribal people, because a lot of people felt that the tribals were not being looked after well when Jharkhand was with Bihar. So his father was one of the main persons. His father Shibu Soren founded the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha. So the JMM is now in power in the state. They won a landslide election, winning almost 50 out of 80 odd seats in the state. The JMM was in an alliance with the Congress and the RJD. Uske pehle the BJP was in power, and I was telling you, till date there has been only one non-tribal chief minister since the state was founded in the year 2000, and that is Sri Raghubar Das. Okay, so this was about this time last year. In fact, I remember, no, in fact, today itself, last year, 24th December, the counting actually took place. So this can be a really important trend going ahead if tribal people can identify under any of these religions. As of now, it is only in Jharkhand, but in the future, this might actually be possible for other states as well. Right? It's now 4 people watching. So guys, please write a hello. It'll be great to connect. I'll be very happy to speak to you guys, or if you guys have any doubts, etc. Right. Some more of the miscellaneous content. By now, you are familiar with the format. So, there is an exercise. It is held annually, the exercise Malabar. But this year, it is slightly different. The first phase was held in the Bay of Bengal, the second phase held in the Arabian Sea. But what is significant is not about where it has been held and which month was it held in. That is fair enough. I mean, वो तो कहीं ना कहीं होगा. It's a naval exercise. So obviously, it will be in one of these seas. But more significantly is who are the members of this. Now this was started, मैंने एक पहले क्लास में मैंने पूरा समझाया था. So Malabar exercise actually started in 1992, which is 28 years back, and initially it was a trilateral exercise. There are a lot of these military exercises worldwide. India does with many countries, and the purpose of a lot of these exercises is to basically foster friendship. We learn from each other. I learn something from you, you learn something from me. There are these competitive games as well, these friendly but competitive games, also, in case there's a real war, the two countries, they can actually cooperate together. That's the idea behind. So we do many exercises every year with US, UK, France, Bangladesh, Nepal, the Gulf countries, with Israel. So बहुत सारे हुए. मैं आपको एक लिस्ट दे दूंगा कभी of all these things that have been done. So this is trilateral. So there are bilateral ones between two countries, trilateral which involves three, multilateral is minimum more than three. So this year it was multilateral. You could call it quadrilateral. Why? Because for the first time another country was involved. So which are those three countries? India, USA, and Japan. These were the three original countries. This year they also invited Australia. So India, Japan, Australia, and USA. They are actually part of an international organization. Are you aware of this organization? In fact, China has called this organization as क्या क्या बोला था. हाँ, they've called it an Indian Ocean NATO. So where are you from? I am from Gurugram. My ancestral home is in Bengal, West Bengal, but I have been born and brought up in Delhi. And of course, I've been in Gurgaon for the last 17 years, now known as Gurugram, of course. Pooja, great to have you here. I think your real name is Pooja. Good to see you in this class after a really long time. Good morning, Pooja or Betu, right? So whoever there is otherwise in this class, please feel free to connect. By the way, what is that organization I'm talking about? Can somebody tell me? India, Australia, USA and Japan, इन चारों ने कौन सा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ज्वाइन किया है? I cannot see the answer, guys. Should I wait further or should I tell you the answer? It is the quad. ये लीजिए आंसर. All four quad members. Quad is short for quadrilateral. मैंने वो hint भी दिया था आपको question में. तो क्या चीज है ये quad? As you can see, it's short for quadrilateral. Involves four countries, which is these four. And what is the common that these four countries have? They have felt that in the Indo-Pacific region, Indo-Pacific is a combination of the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. It was earlier known as Asia Pacific, but the name has been changed to India Pacific, Indo-Pacific, to refer to the Indian Ocean. So these countries feel that China is becoming extremely aggressive and overtly powerful in this region. So the four of them, they want to combine their navy to basically form a bulwark against excess Chinese domination. China has actually called this group an Indo-Pacific NATO, and that is something which I don't mind at all. I think it's an underhanded compliment, because whatever side of the divide one is on in any debate, one cannot deny that the NATO was very strong, very powerful, and extremely influential. It was basically the military of the Western countries during the period of the Cold War. So I personally do not mind this, thing. I take it as an underhanded compliment. Right. Moving ahead, that is the beauty of current affairs classes, the way we flip topics so seamlessly. Hope it's seamless for you guys as well. So, the International Space Station, there's only one International Space Station. Please remember, this is something people often get confused about. Right, Pooja, I understand. Very good. Good to see you regularly attend these classes. हाँ तो बस एक ही इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन है जिसमें सारे कंट्रीज के लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हैं एंड इनफैक्ट देयर आर लॉट्स ऑफ इंडियंस हु आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस एंड देयर आर पीपल ऑफ डिफरेंट कंट्रीज so that you do not have any conflict. So one side of the international space station is controlled by the US, the other side is by Russia. It also has other important spacefaring countries. We call it spacefaring countries, which have a role in this in on space, like France, UK, India, Japan, China, a lot of these countries. ठीक है. So International Space Station has now welcomed 4 additional crew members. Why? I mean, 4 नए आए, that is not a big deal. But what is important is the SpaceX Dragon has now launched in. SpaceX had this formula called Falcon, but now they have a new thing up their armory, which is called the Dragon, which is another regular, shall we say, visitor to this. Now, SpaceX and NASA collaboration has been one of the big important news this year. So, welcome, Paul. Great to have you here. So, good morning to Paul, to Pooja, and to Adarsh. Guys, please read up on SpaceX plus NASA collaboration. This has been one of the big events of this year because traditionally space research was completely the domain of the various governments, but the US government decided that slowly and steadily they might as well outsource it to other countries and to private companies. तो उनका खर्चा बहुत कम हो जाता है उसमें. उनको एक particular contract देना पड़ता है. Private companies, you know, generally they get things done at a cheaper price, and of course SpaceX is now proving to be really a reliable partner. Can somebody tell me who is the founder of SpaceX? There's a particular person who is very famous. He's also the majority owner at Tesla. He also has an interest in Hyperloop. He was also the founder of PayPal. PayPal, of course, he eventually sold for a lot of money, but he was the original founder of PayPal, one of the original digital payment solutions. So, ठीक है. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Can you tell me his name? Which Elon Musk? Very good. All three of you have given answer simultaneously. Great to see. I'm really proud. Yes, his name is Elon Musk. Very good. Okay, let's continue with some more of the November current affairs. Now, the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, you know, it's a central bank of India. It's also the regulator for banking. So they have set up an innovation hub for the financial sector. This is known as the RBIH. So RBI here is not the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI wala. So this is the Reserve Bank Innovation Hub to take up all sorts of innovations. And I think a really apt person has been put in charge of this. He was one of the co-founders of Infosys back in the day, and you know how innovative Infosys, at least initially, was. I mean, when they had to break into the market. So he has been named as the chairperson of the governing council for this entity. His name is Mr. Krish Gopalakrishnan. Some of you may have heard of him. Some of you might, or a lot of people attending this class might actually be students at, might actually have worked for Infosys as well. Okay, so you know, he's of course one of those great names from the company. Right. So about half the session is over. We have another hour to go. Okay. Meanwhile, the state of Punjab has, we have an election commissioner of India, but there is also an election commission of every state in India to conduct all local elections, the state elections as well as the local councils, such as the panchayat and the municipality. Some of you might be aware the city of Hyderabad recently had its municipal elections. Municipal elections were held in Kerala, and very significantly also in Jammu and Kashmir, the first electoral exercise since एब्रोगेशन ऑफ आर्टिकल 370 कल ही उसका रिजल्ट आया तो ये जितनी भी लोकल पोल्स है एक्सेप्ट द नेशनल लेवल इलेक्शन दे आर कंडक्टेड ऑर्गेनाइज्ड बाय द स्टेट कमीशंस. So the Election Commission in Punjab has appointed Sonu Sood as the icon to make people aware about ethical voting. I think you're all aware of Sonu Sood's massive impact, his massive spike in popularity during the various lockdowns when he helped the migrant laborers to move from who were stranded in cities like Mumbai from there to back to their homes in some of the labor supplying states like Bihar, Jharkhand, UP, West Bengal, etc. So he was actually quite involved in that. So he's become a big brand for a lot of these ethical practices because of the ethical approach he showed. So, and also sharing with you the name of the Chief Electoral Officer of Punjab. These are all government jobs, so people can get transferred from any state. So you might notice that the name is South Indian, but that doesn't matter. I mean, somebody can be posted anywhere. So his name is Mr. S. Karuna Raju. Right. Do keep the questions coming in. I'll be really happy to have more of your questions. Right. I just need to check the other channel kabhi kabhi. Anyway, move on to the November current affairs. So there's a solar powered textile mill which has been set up. It's the first ever one which is completely solar powered. So this will come up in the Parbhani district of Maharashtra, known as the Jai Bhavani Women's Cooperative Textile Mill. Right, so I can see more and more people come in and then flip out sometimes. Anyway, so it's a Jai Bhavani Women's Cooperative Textile Mill. So Chika, you might be aware that Maharashtra is one of the most important cloth producing states in the country. So Bombay, of course, was famous as a textile hub, but that has changed in the last 20-25 years, last 30 odd years. So textiles have mostly now been produced in China. So Bombay, in fact, was called the Manchester of India. It still is called because of the nicknames once established, they stick on. But today, neither Mumbai nor Manchester, none of them are major textile producing cities. Most of it is done in China. But anyway, in fact, Bangladesh and Vietnam have also emerged as very important textile producers. Bangladesh is doing exceptionally well these days in textile manufacturing. Okay, so this is the name. Moving ahead, you must have heard of this bank, the LVB Bank, Lakshmi Vilas Bank Limited. So this has been put under moratorium with immediate effect by the RBI due to the weak financials at the Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Meanwhile, in the city of Aberdeen, which is in Scotland, some of you may have heard of this city. I think Adarsh is a football fan. So Adarsh, शायद आपने I'm sure you are aware of Sir Alex Ferguson, the legendary manager, ex-manager of Manchester United. So before becoming manager of Manchester United, how he landed one of the most glamorous jobs in world football is because he was manager of this club, Aberdeen, which was in Scotland. If you have a bit of idea of football in Scotland, historically dominated by two clubs from the same city, Glasgow Rangers and Glasgow Celtic. But when he was manager, Aberdeen won three league titles in 6 years. Uh, so that was significant. Also won the Scottish Cup, I believe, four times, the Scottish League Cup once, and in fact went on to win, most significantly, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. There were three UEFA tournaments back then. Now you have a enlarged Champions League. Back then, the European Cup was a smaller tournament. The UEFA Cup had a lot of teams. There was also a Cup Winners' Cup, which only had the winners from the various knockout tournaments in different countries. So Aberdeen won that tournament, defeating Real Madrid, mighty Real Madrid, in the final in Stockholm, capital of Sweden. So that's how Aberdeen comes into fame. Aberdeen is also known as the Granite City because of the massive presence of granite. But today the city is also famous for being an oil hub because offshore oil deposits have been found on the North Sea. North Sea is the sea. Okay, so this is Great Britain. This is the North Sea. तो यहाँ पे है Aberdeen, बिल्कुल नॉर्थ में स्कॉटलैंड के. तो वहाँ पे काफी it's a major oil extracting center. So, in spite of the presence of oil, they are suggesting that they do not want to deplete the planet of oil, do not want to only, because obviously oil, we all know, has polluting effects. So that's why they've gone with hydrogen. Hydrogen is one of the cleaner fuels, cleanest fuels. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. So on Earth, even water contains hydrogen. So hydrogen does not have much of a byproduct, and of course, it is very easily available. So hydrogen powered double decker buses are being set up. This is part of a vision shown by the government of the UK called the net zero vision. Some of you might be known as some of you might have known this thing, क्या कहते हैं, the Prime Minister of the UK, his name is Boris Johnson. When he first became Prime Minister, there was a lot of fear among a lot of liberal community, among a lot of climate conservationists, especially, that he might follow his fellow conservative Donald Trump in ridiculing climate change. Donald Trump had repeatedly, also the Brazilian conservative leader Jair Bolsonaro, a lot of these people have gone out to suggest that there is no climate change; it's a hoax. But he, on the other hand, has been very serious. Even in aviation, they have started this called zero avia, where the idea being that aviation should not, pollute the planet. So that is a really welcome change from one of the conservative right wing global leaders. Right. In fact, this story reminds me of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, ka one of the ministers, he had once said that human beings, man, did not wait for all the stones to be finished on earth to go into the Iron Age. We have historically, we had the Stone Age, we had the Bronze Age, we had the Iron Age. ठीक है, तो आयरन एज में हम तब घुसे because it was a better thing than using stone tools. Similarly, we now have renewable energy which is better than petrol. So just because Saudi has a lot of oil doesn't mean कि आप oil खत्म करो उसके बाद आप renewable energy पे आओ. So it's very good that some of these countries are taking some active role. I saw some messages on football. Let me see. Yes, Betu, definitely. I will tell you something about the merger of banks. Sir Alex Ferguson was born in Scotland. That's correct. He was from Scotland. He was, in fact, from the city of Glasgow. He played for the Glasgow Rangers in spite of being Catholic. Now, in Scotland, a lot of football rivalry is sectarian, religious. So in Glasgow, the two clubs, there's Celtic, which is historically supported by Catholics, and Rangers is historically supported by Protestants. So he was a Catholic but played for Rangers. So that was a slightly tricky issue, and not something which was always very popular among the fans. Sorry, he wasn't Catholic. He was. His wife was Catholic, something like that. Anyway, but he used to he played for Glasgow Rangers. Anyway, yes, I am. Is due to lockdown the banks? So lockdown, mein banks have not been affected so badly because what has happened is banks have done reasonably well because of the fact that we guys are not spending much money. Because we are not spending much money, so banks are actually having a lot of money in reserve. So banking sector has been relatively unaffected, slightly less badly affected during the lockdown than several other this thing. So they are giving out good amount of loans. Lakshmi Vilas Bank, and also the case of PMC, the Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank. These are isolated cases. This is not because of lockdown. In fact, the PMC scam had come started before PMC crisis had started even before the lockdowns. दूसरी बात है, आपने पूछा था मर्जर ऑफ बैंक्स। वन ऑफ माय प्रीवियस क्लासेस आई हैड एक्चुअली डन एट लेंथ ऑन द मर्जर ऑफ बैंक्स। कोई बात नहीं, मैं दोबारा बता देता हूँ। मर्जर ऑफ बैंक्स बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है। भारत में अभी क्या है कि कुछ साल पहले अराउंड 20 पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स थे। काफी पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स को फिर मर्ज कर दिया गया। पब्लिक सेक्टर मतलब सरकारी बैंक्स, उनका खर्चा काफी ज्यादा है। सो इंस्टेड ऑफ हैविंग so many different banks, all of them with some followers, rather you have a same bank which combines the assets of all of them. There was a lot of fear that this would lead to unemployment because पहले जहां तीन लोग लेते थे तीन अलग बैंक्स, अब बस एक ही इंसान को लेंगे। हो सकता है, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डिनाई दैट। there's also the factor of automation, digitization, that will affect a lot of employment. I have absolutely no doubt about that, but at least it is better from a cost perspective, because many of them are leaking, they're making losses. And if it's a government bank making losses, please understand it is the government that supports them, and government का पैसा कहाँ से आता है? You and me, it is we who are the taxpayers who are supporting the government. ठीक है। सो तभी डिसाइड किया गया मर्ज करने के लिए। तो अराउंड 10 पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स, दे वर मर्ज्ड इनटू 4 ऑफ देम। अनदर 2 आर लेफ्ट इंडिपेंडेंट एंड अनदर 6 वर ऑलरेडी मर्ज्ड। सो 10 PSBs, Betu, this is for you, merged into 4 units. PSBs are public sector banks. So there's a term called public sector undertaking. So the same thing become public sector banks when it comes to the banking sector. Yes, that's correct. Even Hyundai launched a hydrogen car this year in the US. Aramco became a $2 trillion company. Absolutely correct, Adarsh. In fact, Aramco is also one of the highest listed companies on the stock market. Guys, please help me with likes. That will really help me because I'm new to this channel. So do help me with likes, shares, and subscriptions on unacademy.com. Okay, so there's this company called Larsen and Toubro. They have delivered the first hardware, a booster segment called S200 for the Gaganyaan launch vehicle to ISRO. ISRO, you know, in Indian Space Research Organization, which is obviously the regulatory body for space research, space launches in India. What is Gaganyaan? Some of you must have, many of you must have heard of Chandrayaan, Mangalyaan, etc. Similarly, we have Gaganyaan. This is for, okay, what is this? Let me show you. This is for manned missions to space. Manned missions, matlab there will be humans. Forgive the gender non-neutral language. It should be humaned, but there is no such term. So I had to use this uh, rather biased अंग्रेजी, can't help it. So manned mission का मतलब है there will be humans. अभी तक हमने जितने भी क्राफ्ट भेजे हैं, they have been space probes which obviously do not have humans in them. Yes, yes, that's correct. There is a good chance. ठीक है, so ये रहा गगनयान. Have you guys I'm sure you guys have heard मंगलयान. एक मूवी भी आई थी starring अक्षय कुमार about this क्या कहते हैं, exploring the Mars planet. There's Chandrayaan, you are all aware that is about the moon. But the other missions, they are about, you may not have heard. So मैं लिख के देता हूँ आप लोगों को कुछ और ऐसे शुक्रयान. All these are ISRO ones sending probes, unmanned spacecraft, obviously, to Venus, because obviously Venus is very hot. You can't send people there. The other one is called Samudrayan. This is not done by ISRO. This is by another body, by NIOT, which is in Chennai. NIOT is in Chennai. For deep sea exploration, समुद्र के नीचे बहुत कम exploration हुआ है, more than 6,000 feet below sea level. So this is for that purpose. Right. Okay. Meanwhile, there is this thing called Param Siddhi. This is a supercomputer which was established under the NSM, or the National Supercomputing Mission. This has achieved 63rd rank in the list of 500 most powerful supercomputers in the world. ठीक है, तो इंडिया का एक और सुपर कंप्यूटर बहुत फेमस है, दैट वाज नोन एज प्रत्यूष. So that was of course back in the day, but now you also have this thing called Param Siddhi, the fastest computer for India. This is the 63rd most powerful computer in the world, developed by the NSM, the National Supercomputing Mission. The world's fastest supercomputers tend to be either from USA or China, although this year in specific, it is a Japanese supercomputer which is world number one. I had shared that data in one of my past classes. Do go through them. Uh, it's easy to know with the names. Absolutely. Which yarn is for what? Absolutely. बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, पूजा. अच्छा, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा, इंडिया का पहला प्रोजेक्ट लॉन्च हुआ है अंडर अ न्यू स्कीम कॉल्ड द कन्वर्जेंस एनर्जी सर्विसेज लिमिटेड. दिस विल बी सेट अप इन गोवा. ठीक है, and this has been set up by the EESL, which stands for the Energy Efficiency Services Limited. ठीक है, पूजा, इसको एक बार देख लीजिए, फिर I'll take it ahead. So under this, different kinds of energy sources will all be combined together, so that something consolidated can be created, and that improves in the value for money proposition. You must have heard of economies of scale, so that's pretty much how things are here. ठीक है, great. I'll move ahead to the next slide. Next bullet point, please take a look at this. ठीक है, देख लिया सबने. So the space agencies of India and Australia, they're actually going to work together now. So guys, I'm also responding to some queries on the other group, so that is why. ठीक है, चलिए, let me see if there are any more questions. Great, great. What 63rd मैं समझा नहीं. Yes, yes, that's correct. PASEX is the practice of India and Australia, but not only between them. It's also there's also one between India and USA, which is called PASEX. So it's actually a common one. Mm, ठीक है. What was 63rd आपने लिखा, मैं समझा नहीं exactly. Anyway, let's move ahead. Japan now has a new prime minister, as you would all be aware, Yoshihide Suga. Japan does not have a president. It is a democratic monarchy. So it has a king, but the king does not have real legislative powers. The powers are with the elected prime minister. So it's very similar to the president in India, the role of the king in Japan, just like other democratic monarchies. So, Yoshihide Suga and his Australian counterpart Scott Morrison, they've signed a landmark defense deal in a bit to grow. I told you about Quad, so this is something very similar. So China's growing influence of the South China Sea over the Pacific Islands is, scaring a lot of these countries. So China is so dominant; they do not let the other countries do fishing even because they have these large, massive trawlers which take away all the fish. So that has led to a lot of international conflicts. There's a permanent court of arbitration located in the Netherlands, The Hague. So that has also tried to resolve the matters between the different sides. Australia is not even a neighbor. In spite of that, China has picked up few tiffs here and there with Australia. So that is really interesting. So these two countries have now come together for this purpose. Australia is another democratic monarchy. The Queen of UK is also the Queen, the head of state in. Um, Yes, yes, that's correct, Betu, absolutely correct. Uh, is also the Queen of Australia. She's the head of state. The head of government is the Prime Minister. So you have absolute monarchies like Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, Qatar, Brunei, where the king is the law. You also have democratic monarchies or constitutional monarchies where they do have elected leaders who are the main powers, while the king is merely a rubber stamp. Like a lot of European countries, Belgium, the Netherlands, Sweden, um, I think Spain as well. Then you have, yeah, couple more in that region. You have UK, of course, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all these countries. Okay, meanwhile, the Prime Ministers of India and Bhutan, they've together virtually launched the RuPay card phase 2. What is RuPay card? Can somebody tell me? Has anybody ever used the RuPay card? It is a debit card. That's correct. It's a debit card denoted by Indian rupee. So you don't even need to convert your currency if you're using this in a foreign country, which you allows this card to be used. United Kingdom was actually the first country outside South Asia where it was used. In Bhutan, in any case, the Indian rupee is legal tender, which is why this can easily be used in Bhutan. ठीक है. Who's the Prime Minister of Bhutan? Just have a look. It's Mr. Lotai Shering. Bhutan also is a country which is a democratic monarchy. It was an absolute monarchy, but the king himself started abdicating powers in favor of a more democratic system. Okay, so every month, a lot of you are attending my first class. So I've been taking classes from January, like January current affairs से मैंने शुरू किया है. तो हर एक महीने का अगर आप डेटा देखें तो मैं इंडेक्सेस हर महीने करवाता हूँ. So indexes are very important. Why? Because they have multiple benefits. So one is, so whenever you have a group discussion or there's a VAT, how are you going to actually justify your points is through one of the best ways. Please understand, GD is not about how much you shout, just like a VAT is not about how flowery a writing you do. It's not about that. It's about how you're putting the right thing at the right place. So when it comes to the bribery risk index, this you can often quote data from these indexes. So जितने भी indexes है, हर एक महीने मैंने index करवाए हैं. I have also taken some sessions only for indexes. So all these months I have collated information from these indexes and put them in together. So we have this thing called bribery risk matrix. This measures the bribery risk in 194 countries. So how prone to bribery are these countries? In fact, India's position has generally not been very good. Most of the indexes we've done pretty badly. Although we've done slightly better in this one, surprisingly. I will also tell you, okay, let me come to that, then I'll. So, India's rank is 77th, and so rank 1 is really telling. This is a golden rule I'm telling you. And this generally it applies on most occasions. Please remember that the country which is rank 1 in these indexes usually tends to be a developed but small country. ठीक है, ये कॉम्बिनेशन बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, because obviously the moment the country is very big, then the complications rise immensely. So that is something which is truly important. So while USA is a developed country, USA, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, these are all very rich countries, but they generally do not top these indexes because they are large countries, so they'll have a lot of inequalities as well. Whereas these small countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Switzerland, New Zealand, Singapore, even Canada, which is a very big country in terms of size, but population is very low. New Zealand, these are countries that tend to do extremely well on these various indexes. ये golden rule याद रखना. General knowledge is not an exact science. It's not like physics or chemistry कि मैंने कोई rule बताया वो हमेशा apply होगा, ऐसा नहीं है. But it should apply on most occasions. So in any index you need to know कि इंडिया का रैंक क्या है, रैंक 1 कौन है, और किसने इंडेक्स पब्लिश किया है, बिकॉज इट हैज टू बी अ वेल डिफाइंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. अगर यूएनडीपी ने कुछ दिया है, वर्ल्ड बैंक ने, इंडिया में किसी मिनिस्ट्री ने कोई लोकल रिपोर्ट दिया है, किसी रेलेवेंट मिनिस्ट्री ने, नीति आयोग ने किया है, ठीक है, globally there could be some publications like Forbes, Fortune, The Economist. These are very much reliable, relevant. So in that case you can blindly believe them. North Korea's bottom rank. Now bottom is not always important, but sometimes it can be. ठीक है. Okay, let's move ahead. Although I'm not sure नॉर्थ कोरिया में कोई ब्राइबरी करता कैसे होगा, आई मीन मुझे डर लगेगा ब्राइबरी करने से पहले, पता नहीं हाथ पैर सब कुछ काट देंगे. सो मैं तो कभी ट्राई नहीं करूंगा नॉर्थ कोरिया में, कहीं पे भी नहीं करता, बट नॉर्थ कोरिया में डेफिनेटली आई विल नॉट मेक एन अटेम्प्ट. Right, let's continue then with this thing. This is another major topic I want to talk about, which is the Five Eyes Alliance. This is a group of the five English speaking countries which came together. It started from what is known as the UK US agreement immediately after the Second World War. Back then, the target was primarily USSR, so it was an anti USSR alliance. But let's just understand. So it comprises five English-speaking countries for cooperations on signals intelligence. Signals as in Morse code in terms of the intelligence systems, right? So signal जो release होती है सबके उसके बारे में. I don't know, for some reason slide थोड़ा उल्टा हो गया. Anyway, these are the members: USA, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. Although these five English speaking countries are full time members, but sometimes even these countries are included. The likes of France, Israel, Singapore, Japan, and South Korea, they have also been included in some of these meetings. राइट, तो ये एक बार देख लीजिए. मैं थोड़ा सा ना करेक्शन कर लेता हूँ बिकॉज इट्स गेटिंग रादर ऑड. I think one needs to make the correction immediately. That's always a good thing, I believe. Yeah, इस पे भी एक correction. It should be S200, not 2 के बाद दूसरा. These small things, they can make a massive difference actually. Might not sound much, but it does have a lot of significance. I believe one should make the change immediately. Okay. I don't know what this is. Anyway, okay. So the last topic before I take on another very big topic. So this is about sandbox. So what is the sandbox? Let us please understand. After this, so this is the last slide. Not for the class. इसके बाद I will talk in detail about one standalone topic which is of a special importance to this month, and I think you would have guessed it right. I'm talking about the Bihar elections. That was the first major election held in India since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country. So I'm going to spend some time especially on that topic. But before that, just to close the other stuff, it's a sandbox. So what is a sandbox? It's been started by the RBI. So two startups that have been selected as part of a regulatory sandbox program. So even the RBI is now interested in startups and how startups are performing, and they could be eventually helped. Remember, there's a government scheme as well, central government scheme called Startup India. So definitely now all kinds of government authorities are taking an interest in startups, right? Paul and Pooja and others, you've all gone quiet. Do write something. Keep the class rolling. That'll be good fun for all of us. Okay, so the first one to be selected is a Jaipur-based company called Natural Support Consultancy Services Private Limited. The other one is Nucleus Software Exports Limited, which is based in न्यू दिल्ली. ठीक है, तो ये दो कंपनीज है, एक जयपुर बेस्ड और एक दिल्ली बेस्ड. पढ़ लीजिए इसको एक बार, उसके बाद आई विल चेंज द स्लाइड. ठीक है, तो एक जयपुर बेस्ड स्टार्टअप और एक दिल्ली बेस्ड स्टार्टअप. ठीक है, great. I'm going to start now with a very important topic, which is the elections in the state of Bihar. As I said, this was the first major election in India since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. There were some local elections in places like Mizoram, I think in Tripura as well, but none were such so big. In fact, coinciding with the Bihar elections, you also had several bypolls that were held. Most importantly, in Madhya Pradesh, yesterday I did talk in detail about the Madhya Pradesh bypolls. Tomorrow I will do a roundup of all the other bypolls. Around 30 odd bypolls were there, apart from those in MP. But right now the focus is on Bihar alone. And Bihar is also a very important state, otherwise politically in the country, because uh, it sends the fourth maximum number of MPs to the Lok Sabha, only after Uttar Pradesh, which sends 80, Maharashtra sends 48, West Bengal sends 42, Bihar sends 40. So it's the fourth highest in the Lok Sabha. It was at 54 at one stage, that was then second highest, but 14 constituencies were taken away when Jharkhand was formed in 2000. Right, so that is why Bihar is again really important. However, there are some who have suggested this could also have an impact on national elections. I'm not sure. If you see the trends over the last 3 years, it is pretty evident that Indians vote very differently when it comes to state elections versus national elections. So it may not have a direct impact on the national elections. Anyway, the national elections are almost 4 years away, 3.5 years away. So let's focus right now on a very big state. The Bihar's population, by the way, is about 100 million. So that makes it more populated than Germany, for instance. Almost double the population of, say, Italy, more than UK or France, more than double Spain's population, 5 times Australia's population. So really significant if I take it from a global perspective. Right. So let us first understand what exactly is the Bihar Legislative Assembly. The total strength is 243. It used to be 324, but 81 went to Jharkhand. The Vidhan Sabha, the Legislative Assembly in Hindi is known as Vidhan Sabha. Bihar is one of the only five states remaining which right now has a bicameral structure. So I'll talk about that in some time. But first of all, so because it's 243, so 122 is the majority mark. Bicameral, one of the only five states. Can you name which are the other four states? Bicameral होता क्या है मैं आपको समझाता हूँ. So if you look at the center, you have an upper house Rajya Sabha, lower house called Lok Sabha, right? Similarly, in the states, you also have the option. Center में तो है ही, लेकिन states में option है. पहले most of the states had bicameral structure, but by now several of them have stopped that practice. Very recently, in fact, just 2 years back, just a year and a half back, there were seven states with that, but Jammu and Kashmir was stripped of its statehood. So Jammu and Kashmir stopped having the bicameral structure, and then Andhra Pradesh's assembly also voted to delegitimize the upper council. So Andhra Pradesh too is no longer bicameral. So there are only five states remaining which are on the bicameral structure. Would somebody like to tell me? Let me write it down. Five states still following the bicameral structure. Uttar Pradesh, obviously, very big state. Also Bihar. We have Telangana as well, which is basically a throwback to the time when it was with Andhra Pradesh. Mm, so, Telangana, I think it is. Maybe I'm getting the spelling wrong. मैं थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज रहता हूँ. Anyway, also Karnataka and Maharashtra. Maharashtra, in fact, its chief minister is a member of the upper house. He did not contest the popular Vidhan Sabha elections in Maharashtra. ठीक है. Okay, so the legislative council, which is the upper house, is also known as Vidhan Parishad, but उसका election direct नहीं होता. There are different ways of doing that. This election was only for Vidhan Sabha. The previous election held in 2015. This time it is being held in over three phases. Now थोड़ा सा मैं background बताता हूँ from the two recent elections. Last year there was the Lok Sabha elections for the entire nation. Of that, 40 seats, as I said, were contributed by Bihar. And I'm also going to tell you the background from 2015 when we last had the state elections. Bihar has had very stable governments. They've not had midterm changes very often. So in 2015, RJD and JDU, which were the traditional enemies, they came together because the BJP after 2014's massive victory at the center had become very powerful. So a number of the non-BJP parties started sort of combining. So 2015, the RJD and the JDU fought together. Unthinkable Lalu Prasad Yadav campaigning for Nitish Kumar, his arch rival. Also, the Congress, which has often been an RJD ally, they were also part of this thing. So the three of them fought together and won a landslide election against the BJP. The three of them in total won 178 out of 243 seats. The RJD was at 80, the JDU at 71, and the Congress at 27. The BJP could only win 53 seats, and its allies contributed another five or six seats. I think the LJP won two, RLSP also two, and the Hum three, something like that. Were pretty abysmal. But in 2017, the JDU went back to its old friend. JDU had long been a BJP ally from 2005 to 15. Even before that, if I look at national politics, they were part of the Vajpayee governments. But in 2015, sorry, in 15 they changed its side to the RJD, but in 17 they came back, ditched its ally RJD to go back to the BJP. So both the cases, it was Mr. Nitish Kumar who was the chief minister. In fact, he has been the chief minister almost continuously since 2005. I've written the word almost because there was a brief period when Jitan Ram Manjhi was the chief minister. The Jitan Ram Manjhi, who is the present chief minister, who is the present head of the Hindustan Awam Morcha. He was earlier with the JDU before forming his own political party. Okay. So that was 2015. As I said, state elections and central elections, people vote very differently. Even when the BJP wins, it's by a relatively smaller margin. But when it comes to, and they often lose as well, but when it comes to national elections, the last two, the BJP and its allies have basically swept it. The popularity of the present prime minister is so immense that you can see that out of the 40 seats, the NDA won 39 seats. The BJP won all 17 of the seats they contested on. The LJP, which was the smallest of the three partners, won all six seats, while the JDU won 16 of the 17 seats, losing only one seat to the Congress. Right, so this was the tally for the state. Right, moving ahead. Okay, let's look at what were the key alliances that were formed this time. One of them was the NDA, or the National Democratic Alliance, which is led by the BJP. Since the late 90s, this has been a very strong alliance. The other one is the Mahagathbandhan, or the MGB, which was the main opposition. There was also the LGP, which is not an alliance, it's a political party. They fought separately. LJP is at the center, they are an ally of the BJP, they're members of the NDA, but in state politics they run separately. At least this time they ran separately, so they had this thing that they're going to contest against the JDU but not against the BJP. So in whatever seats the BJP put up its candidate, the LJP did not put up a candidate. They only put up candidate on seats where the JDU or the other smaller allies had put up candidates. I don't know if you guys are aware, but when it's coalition politics, there are two kinds of coalitions. One is pre-poll, another is post-poll. Pre-poll alliance में पहले से दोस्ती होती है, और अगर 100 सीटें हो आप में और मेरे में, पहले से डिवीजन रहेगा। मैं 50 में कॉन्टेस्ट करूंगा, आप 40 में, कोई तीसरा 10 पे। जिन सीटों पे आप अपना कैंडिडेट डालोगे मैं उस पर नहीं डालूंगा। Right, so that is how it was between them. A post poll is when you fight separately, but after the elections you come together because nobody is able to form government, so any two or three come together, like is the present situation in Haryana, which was a hung assembly, or it was in Karnataka for a while between the Congress and the JDS. So you have a couple of these situations, but okay. And of course, you had many others. There were two more alliances which fought. They did not have too much of an influence. Right. So, who are the NDA constituents? Obviously, I told you the BJP, the party in power at the center, they were the leaders of this. You also had the Janta Dal United, which was for long seen as the elder brother in the state of Bihar. But of course, they were also fighting with the BJP. Now, the chief ministerial candidate was from the JDU, that is Mr. Nitish Kumar. There's also a third one called the Hindustan Awam Morcha, or the Hum. Hum had, I told you, Jitan Ram Manchi, he was earlier a member of the JDU. He left the JDU, floated his own party. He was actually an ally of the BJP in 2015 against the JDU. Remember, JDU then with the RJD. And 2019, he fought with the RJD against the BJP and the JDU. But this time there were some conflicts with seat sharing. The RJD was not very keen on projecting many seats to the Hum, so they shifted their alliance. While there's also a fourth party, Vikashsheel Insan Party, started by Mukesh Sahni, a former Bollywood professional. He again, it's a new party. They were with the RJD in the Lok Sabha elections, lost very badly, and of course this time, same as the Hum, they had issues on seat sharing, so they shifted their alliance. The Mahagathbandhan, led by the RJD, Lalu Prasad Yadav's party. This time, the CM face, Lalu Prasad, is in jail right now in Jharkhand. So it's his son, Tejasvi Yadav. He was the leader, and he was the CM face of this side. Also, the Congress was the second big one, and there were the three left parties: the Communist Party of India, the CPI Marxist, and the CPI Marxist Leninist. In this state, it is the CPI-ML, which is the strongest of the three left parties. And in the last elections too, they had won three seats in 2015. In spite of fighting separately from any alliance, they had still won three seats. They also have one seat in Jharkhand, neighboring state. Again, a state where they fought separately. Let's take a look at some of the key others. LJP, as I told you, the Lok Janshakti Party, led by Mr. Chirag Paswan. His father, Shri Ramvilas Paswan, passed away recently, a long time central minister. There's also the Russian Lok Samata Party, headed by Mr. Upendra Kushwaha, another important leader in his own right. And there was the AIMIM, which is historically a party from Hyderabad, but they have been expanding. They won a couple of bypolls last year in Bihar, and also in Maharashtra. They now have a parliamentary constituency of Aurangabad, and also a couple of seats in the Vidhan Sabha. So, All India Majlis Ittihadil Muslimin. There's the Japal, so AIMIM headed by Mr. Owaisi, Asaduddin Owaisi. There's also Japal, the Jan Adhikar Loktantrik Party, Loktantrik, another new party floated by Mr. Pappu Yadav. who I believe is a former RJD member. There's also Mayawati's BSP, the Bahujan Samaj Party. They had also, they do contest on most states, and they do have some presence in almost every state. I think they have one seat in neighboring Jharkhand as well. I'm constantly referring to Jharkhand because Jharkhand and Bihar, they share a lot of trends. Last year, Jharkhand had its elections, so that is why sometimes I do refer to Jharkhand. So BSP, of course, led by Ms. Mayawati. Now, ASP, very small party, probably. Maybe I shouldn't mention them, but the reason I'm talking about them is because its leader Chandrasekhar Azad has been the face of several protests in the last couple of years. So he leads another organization called the Bhim Army, which later on formed its political party called the Azad Samaj Party. Chandrasekhar Azad, that's the name of the leader. Anyway, so they were not together. I'm just saying some of them were together. I think the RLSP, AIMM, and BSP were together. Japal and ASP were another faction. But anyway, these were a couple of them. Okay, moving ahead, let's look at the final results. The NDA had a slender advantage. Most of the opinion polls suggested the NDA would win, although the exit polls pointed to the other way. But finally, when results came, it seemed that the opinion polls were more correct. The NDA won by a slender margin, winning 125 seats. Within the NDA, it is the BJP that emerged as the single largest party, winning 74 seats, followed by the JDU at 43. The two small parties, VIP and HUM, contributed four each, and Sri Nitish Kumar was eventually sworn in as the chief minister for a fourth term. The Mahagathbandhan finished a close second, winning 110 seats, so they form a very strong opposition. And within the MGB and generally in the whole state of Bihar, the RJD finished as the single largest party within the state, winning 75 seats, just one more than BJP, although with a slightly lower strike rate because they contested many more seats, about 40 seats more than the BJP. They 30 more seats they contested on. I believe around 144, the BJP on around 110. Right. So this is pretty much the final result. Continuing with the final results, just another two slides remaining, then we can wrap up the session. So just be with me. We have another session today at 2:30 p.m. As I told you, the newspaper analysis. Please do not miss that. The Congress won just 19, and the left parties had a very good strike rate, winning a combined 16. Among the left parties, as I said, the CPIML, which did the best, winning 11. The CPIM had 3, and the CPI 2. The LJP and the BSP won a single seat each. The Japal and RLSP failed to open their account. The AIMM was the surprise package, winning 5 seats, all of them in the Simanchal region of Bihar, and there was also an independent MLA who was elected. So this is the final results. You can just take a look at it once to understand the final tallies. The AIMM definitely a surprise package. Not many expected them to do so well. Right. Yeah. Do keep writing. You guys have stopped writing, I see. So anyway, I am pretty much done. It's the end of the session. So I'm gonna take it off, and I'll keep it, give it a couple of minutes in case you guys have any doubts. Please feel free to ask. I've shared this with you earlier. This is my code AD09. Please make complete use of it. You will get a flat 10% off. And do like my thing. You've already done, I see. Do share it with your friends who require more of GK, and do subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to press the bell icon. So I'll just keep it open for a couple of minutes in case you guys have any questions. And got a couple of phone calls. I'll just make a call to them. Right. Let's see if you guys have any questions. Otherwise,